Imagine this. Captain Mara Kendrick, a battle-hardened Navy SEAL, sits in a Charlotte courtroom, her heart pounding like a war drum. Her own sister, Evelyn Pruitt, stands at a polished lectern, her voice trembling with rehearsed sorrow. "My sister's lost her way," Evelyn says, her words dripping with pity. "The war broke her. She's not the Mara we knew." The judge nods, swayed by a stack of forged psychiatric reports branding Mara as unstable. This isn't just a family spat. It's a calculated strike to strip Mara of her freedom, her inheritance, and her honor. But Evelyn doesn't know Mara's holding a secret weapon. A dossier that could unravel her sister's lies. One question burns. Will Mara's truth prevail? Or will she be silenced forever? Stay with us. This story's just beginning. Mara's tale starts in a modest Asheville home, nestled against the Smoky Mountains. Growing up, she was always in Evelyn's shadow. Evelyn, the golden child, was showered with praise. Her piano recitals framed like masterpieces, her college acceptance a family holiday. Mara's victories, like her state math Olympiad win, were met with a curt, "Nice job, now help with dinner." Her parents' mantra? "Evelyn's the star, Mara. Support her. She'll carry you one day." The word stung, carving a quiet resolve in Mara's heart. She wasn't born to orbit anyone. At 18, Mara rebelled, announcing her plan to join the Navy SEALs. Her mother gasped, "That's no place for a girl like you." Evelyn, smirking in the hallway, whispered venomously, "You're just a small-town dreamer, Mara. You'll crash and burn." Those words didn't break her. They fueled her. Mara wasn't chasing approval anymore. She was chasing freedom. But Evelyn's cruelty wasn't just words. Years later, Mara would uncover a chilling truth. Her sister had been plotting against her since those Asheville days, weaving a web of deceit that stretched from their childhood home to a courtroom. The courtroom air is thick, the scent of polished oak and tension suffocating. Evelyn, in a tailored Oscar de la Renta suit, paints Mara as a ticking time bomb, her lawyer flashing a grainy video on a screen. It shows Mara alone in the Pisgah forest at midnight, whispering names under the stars. "She's haunted," Evelyn says, crocodile tears glistening. But Mara knows the truth. She wasn't raving. She was honoring her fallen SEAL team, reciting their names, Jasper Cole, Riley Tate, Marcus Vaughn, in a sacred ritual. Evelyn twisted her grief into madness, a betrayal that cuts deeper than any battlefield wound. As the judge's pitying gaze lands on Mara, her knuckles whiten around her satchel. Inside lies her counterstrike, evidence of Evelyn's crimes, gathered in sleepless nights with her SEAL brother's help. But will it be enough to turn the tide? The room feels like it's closing in, every eye waiting for Mara to crack. She doesn't. Her silence is a weapon, a calm before a storm that's been brewing since she was a girl overshadowed by her sister's light. This story's about to explode. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to see how Mara fights back. Share this with someone who needs to hear a story of resilience. Let's dive deeper. The Charlotte courtroom fades, but the sting of Evelyn's betrayal lingers like smoke in Mara Kendrick's chest. Picture her at 22, not yet the Navy SEAL captain she'd become, but a young woman trudging through the grueling sands of Coronado, California. The Navy SEAL training grounds were a crucible, blistering heat, bone-crushing rucksacks, and instructors who seemed to want her to fail. "You don't belong here, Kendrick," one barked as she hauled a 90-pound pack through surf-soaked dunes. Her muscles screamed, her boots bled, but Evelyn's old taunt, "You'll crash and burn," echoed louder. Mara didn't quit. She wasn't just proving herself to the Navy. She was proving it to the girl who'd been invisible in Asheville. What's driving her? Stick with me. You'll see why this fight matters. Mara's world wasn't always this harsh. Back in Asheville, her childhood was a quiet ache, her parents' eyes always on Evelyn's latest triumph, a scholarship, a pageant crown. Mara's science fair medals gathered dust, her basketball wins brushed off with, "Don't get hurt, honey." But in the SEALs, she found something new. A family not bound by blood, but by sweat and sacrifice. In the brutal BUD/S training, she met her brothers, Jasper Cole, a wiry Texan with a quick laugh, Riley Tate, a stoic Minnesotan, and Marcus Vaughn, a gentle giant from Georgia. They didn't care she was a woman. They saw her grit, her heart, her refusal to break. One night, after a 72-hour dive exercise that left them shivering and bruised, Jasper handed Mara a lukewarm MRE coffee. "You're one of us, Kendrick," he said. No fanfare, just truth. That moment, under a starry desert sky, was a balm to the wounds of her childhood. These men didn't demand she dim her light for theirs. They fought beside her, trusted her to lead. Years later, in a dusty Afghan outpost, that bond deepened. After a harrowing mission, with mortars still echoing in their ears, Riley rigged a cake from MRE flour and jam, topped with a spent 9mm casing for her 30th birthday. Their off-key happy birthday was a symphony of belonging. Marcus slipped her a pebble shaped like North Carolina's coast, grinning, "Home's with us now, Cap." But even this family couldn't shield Mara from the shadows creeping closer. In Afghanistan, a letter arrived from Evelyn, her elegant script a jarring note in the desert's grit. "Just checking in," it read, but buried in the pleasantries was a request. Details on secure supply routes for a friend's business. Mara, starved for a scrap of family connection, answered, not knowing she was handing Evelyn a key to her destruction. That letter, tucked away in her rucksack, was a ticking bomb, one that would detonate years later in that Charlotte courtroom, where Evelyn now branded her a broken soldier. Mara's silence in court isn't weakness. It's the quiet strength of a SEAL who's faced worse odds. Her satchel holds proof of Evelyn's treachery, but the real weapon is her resolve, forged in the sands of Coronado and the dust of Afghanistan. Those brothers, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, aren't just memories. They're the reason she's fighting, their names whispered in that Pisgah Forest ritual now twisted against her. As the judge's gaze softens with pity, Mara's mind flashes to Marcus's pebble, still in her pocket. It's a reminder. Her true kin are with her even now. The courtroom's tension is a coiled spring, ready to snap. What's in that satchel, and will it be enough to shatter Evelyn's lies? Keep watching. This is where the tide turns. The courtroom's heavy air presses against Mara Kendrick, her fingers tracing the edge of her satchel as Evelyn's voice echoes, branding her a broken soldier. But the Real wound isn't the courtroom's pitying stares. It's a betrayal that began years ago, in the dust of Afghanistan, where Mara's trust in her sister became a weapon. Picture her in a moonlit Afghan outpost, the scent of diesel and sand thick around her. She's clutching a letter from Evelyn, her sister's elegant handwriting a lifeline to a home that never truly felt hers. "Just a small favor," Evelyn wrote, asking for supply route details. Mara, heartsick and battle-worn, complied, unaware she was feeding a predator. What did Evelyn do with that trust? "Stay with me. This betrayal cuts deep." Back in Asheville, Mara's childhood was a masterclass in being unseen. Evelyn's every achievement, a debate team win, a framed diploma, was a family parade. Mara's math trophies? Shoved in a drawer. Her parents' words, "Evelyn's your future, Mara," were a chain she broke by joining the SEALs. But Evelyn's ambition wasn't just to shine, it was to control. While Mara led missions in Afghanistan, Evelyn was building a shadow empire. Using Mara's military credentials, stolen from that innocent letter, Evelyn funneled critical medical supplies, like combat gauze, through shell companies to black market buyers. The profit was millions, but the cost was blood. One date sears Mara's memory, July 17, 2018. Her SEAL team was ambushed in Helmand Province, pinned down by gunfire. Jasper Cole, the Texan with the quick laugh, took a hit. Mara pressed her hands to his wound, screaming for gauze that never came. The supply shipment, diverted by Evelyn's scheme, left them empty-handed. Jasper's eyes locked on hers as he faded, his last breath a silent accusation. Mara carried that loss like a stone, not knowing her sister's hand was behind it. Evelyn's letter, once a flicker of family hope, was a Trojan horse, smuggling betrayal into Mara's war. Now in the Charlotte courtroom, Evelyn's performance peaks. Her lawyer, a sharp-eyed Raleigh man named Preston Holt, flashes a forged psychiatric report. Its words: paranoid delusions, severe PTSD, a calculated lie. The grainy video of Mara in Pisgah Forest, whispering Jasper's name under the stars, is their centerpiece. She's haunted, Evelyn says, her voice cracking with fake sorrow. The judge's brow furrows, buying the act. Mara's ritual, a sacred roll call for her fallen team, is twisted into proof of madness. But Mara's not breaking. Her satchel holds the truth. IP logs, financial records, a shipping manifest with her forged signature. Each document is a bullet, and Evelyn's empire is the target. The courtroom's silence is electric, every eye on Mara. Evelyn's smug glance meets her sister's icy stare. Mara's not the girl who faded in Asheville's shadows anymore. She's a seal, trained to strike when the enemy least expects it. Jasper's pebble, still in her pocket, grounds her. It's a reminder of the family she chose, the ones who never doubted her. But the clock's ticking. Evelyn's lawyer is pushing for a ruling, and the judge's pen hovers over the guardianship order. Can Mara's evidence stop this charade before it's too late? The tension's unbearable, a fuse burning toward an explosion. Don't look away. This is where the truth starts to claw its way out. The Charlotte courtroom hums with tension, Mara Kendrick's steady gaze locked on her sister Evelyn, whose polished facade masks a venomous plot. The judge, swayed by a forged psychiatric report, sees Mara as a broken soldier, but the truth is far uglier. Evelyn's betrayal, born in the shadows of their Asheville childhood, has woven a trap so intricate it threatens to cage Mara forever. Picture her now, not in court, but in a sterile Raleigh coffee shop months earlier, spilling her soul to a kind doctor who's secretly recording every word. Her grief over Jasper Cole's death, her survivor's guilt. Evelyn's turned it all into ammunition. How did it come to this? Stay with me. This deception runs deep. Mara's childhood was a battlefield of neglect. In their Smoky Mountain home, Evelyn's every step was celebrated. Her violin solos, her charity galas. Mara's science fair wins? A pat on the head and a chore list. Be patient, Mara, her mother would say. Evelyn's your anchor. But Mara wasn't built to follow. She joined the SEALs, defying Evelyn's sneer. You'll wash out. Years later, after a medical discharge from a concussion in Afghanistan, Mara returned to Asheville, scarred but unbroken. That's when Evelyn struck. A concerned call from her sister-in-law, Lila Pruitt, invited Mara to a Chapel Hill Country Club tea. It'll help you heal, Lila cooed, her voice sweet as poison. The tea was a stage. Lila, in pastel silk, paraded Mara before her elite friends. My sister-in-law the hero, she said, her smile a mask. She's been through so much, be gentle with her. The crowd's pitying stares burned Mara's skin. She was no hero to them, just a broken toy for Lila's charity act. Weeks later, Evelyn and Lila arrived at Mara's sparse apartment with a Whole Foods gift basket, their concern a rehearsed script. We're worried about your nightmares, Evelyn said, her hand heavy on Mara's shoulder. Exhausted, doubting her own memory after her injury, Mara agreed to meet their specialist. At that Raleigh Starbucks, the doctor's gentle questions drew out Mara's pain. Jasper's death, the ambush, her fractured sense of home. She didn't see the recorder by his phone, capturing every vulnerable word. Those words became Evelyn's weapon. Edited and twisted, they fueled the psychiatric report now damning Mara in court. The video of her Pisgah Forest ritual, whispering Jasper, Riley, and Marcus's names, wasn't madness, it was reverence. But Evelyn and Lila spun it into delusion, their lawyer Preston Holt waving the report like a flag of victory. The judge's pen hovers, ready to sign Mara's freedom away. Evelyn's eyes glint with triumph, Lila's handkerchief dabbing fake tears. They've played their parts perfectly, turning Mara's grief into a cage. But Mara's satchel holds the key to their undoing. Documents tracing Evelyn's fraud, her theft of military supplies, her betrayal that cost lives. The courtroom's air crackles, a storm brewing. Can Mara spring this trap before it snaps shut? You won't believe what's coming. Keep watching. The Charlotte courtroom is a pressure cooker, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and anticipation. Captain Mara Kendrick sits ramrod straight, her Navy SEAL training holding her steady as her sister Evelyn's lawyer, Preston Holt, delivers his final blow. "Your Honor, Mara Kendrick is a danger to herself," he declares, waving a forged psychiatric report like a trophy. The judge's eyes, softened by pity, flicker to Mara, ready to sign away her freedom. Evelyn, in her pristine suit, exchanges a smug glance with her wife, Lila, both certain they've won. But Mara's hand rests on her satchel, its contents a ticking bomb of truth. The room waits for her to crumble, but Mara's silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. "What's in that satchel? Stay with us. This is where the tables turn." The roots of this moment stretch back to Mara's Asheville childhood, where Evelyn's every achievement was a family holiday, while Mara's triumphs were afterthoughts. "Support your sister," her parents drilled, leaving Mara to carve her own path through the SEAL's brutal training. There she found her true kin, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, brothers who saw her strength, not her shadow. But Evelyn's betrayal, uncovered in sleepless nights, was a knife to that bond. Using Mara's credentials, Evelyn diverted military supplies for profit, leaving Mara's team without gauze in a deadly ambush. Jasper's blood is on her hands, and Mara's evidence, IP logs, forged manifests, proves it. As Preston Holt pushes for a summary judgment, Mara feels the weight of Jasper's pebble in her pocket, a talisman of her chosen family. The judge's pen hovers, the courtroom's silence deafening. "Captain Kendrick," he says, voice gentle. "Any response?" Mara doesn't flinch. She rises, her movements deliberate, and slides a thick manila envelope across the table to the bailiff. "Your Honor, I submit this into evidence," she says, her voice cutting through the hush like a blade. The judge, annoyed at the interruption, tears it open, expecting nothing. His eyes scan the first page, a financial trail, then widen at the second, a SOCOM investigation letter. His fingers tremble as he reads faster, shock giving way to fury. The courtroom shifts. Evelyn's smugness falters. Lila's handkerchief freezes mid-dab. Bang. The judge's gavel slams, a gunshot in the silence. "Bailiff, lock the doors," he barks. The heavy oak doors burst open, and 12 Navy SEALs in full combat gear march in, a wall of disciplined power behind Mara. Commander Elias Holt steps forward, saluting the judge. "Evelyn Pruitt," he declares, voice ringing. "You're detained for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy against the United States." Evelyn's face drains chalk white, her protests. "This is insane." Drowned by the click of handcuffs. Lila gasps, her perfect world shattering. Mara meets Evelyn's pleading eyes. "You called me broken," she says softly. "You were always the liar." The SEAL's presence is a thunderclap, their formation a shield for Mara's truth. The evidence, painstakingly gathered with her team's cyberforensics, lays bare Evelyn's empire of lies. The judge's fury locks onto Evelyn, the courtroom's pity now hers. Mara stands taller, Jasper's pebble grounding her. But this victory isn't the end. Evelyn's betrayal stole more than money, it stole Mara's home. Can she reclaim it, or will the ghosts of her past linger? The fight's not over. Keep watching to see what Mara builds from the ashes. The Charlotte courtroom's echo of handcuffs clicking on Evelyn's wrists still rings in Mara Kendrick's ears as she steps into the cool North Carolina air. The judge's gavel sealed Evelyn's fate. Fraud, conspiracy, betrayal exposed by Mara's manila envelope. But victory feels hollow. Evelyn didn't just steal Mara's trust. She stole their family's Asheville home, the Smoky Mountain plot where Mara's childhood dreams were buried under her sister's spotlight. Picture Mara now, driving down a familiar gravel road, her heart lurching at the sight of a sold sign staked in the lawn. A stranger's minivan sits in the driveway, boxes spilling out. Evelyn's voice haunts her. "You signed it away, Mara." Did she? The truth is slipping. Stay with us to see how Mara fights back. Growing up, Mara was the shadow to Evelyn's sun. Her parents framed Evelyn's every award, while Mara's math Olympiad medals were tossed aside. "Be her support," they said, as if Mara's worth was tied to Evelyn's shine. Joining the Seals was Mara's rebellion, her escape to a family of brothers, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, who saw her for who she was. But Evelyn's betrayal cut deeper than childhood slights. Using Mara's war-wound memory gaps, Evelyn forged a power of attorney, selling their family's land to fund her schemes. That sale, Mara learned, was no accident. It was the final piece of Evelyn's plan to erase her. Mara's return to Asheville after her medical discharge was a pilgrimage to reclaim solid ground. The concussion from an Afghan IED left her memory foggy, but not her resolve. When she saw that sold sign, her hands shook as she dialed Evelyn. "You were at Walter Reed, confused," Evelyn said, her voice slick. "You wanted me to handle it." Doubt crept in. Had Mara signed in a haze? No. Her SEAL instinct screamed. This was a lie. With her team's help, Mara dug deeper. Cyber forensics traced the forged signature to Evelyn's Raleigh lawyer, Preston Holt. The deed transfer, buried in shell company paperwork, was another thread in Evelyn's web, linked to the stolen military supplies that cost Jasper's life. Now, post-trial, the courtroom evidence flips the script. The judge voids the sale, returning the deed to Mara. She drives back to that Smoky Mountain plot, the sold sign gone, the land hers again. Standing on the grass, she feels the weight of Jasper's pebble in her pocket, a tether to her true kin. This isn't just land, it's a promise. Mara won't rebuild the old house, tainted by memories of being unseen. She envisions something new, a haven for those as scarred as she is. But Evelyn's wife, Lila, lingers in the background, her tearful letter pleading family arriving that morning. Can Mara truly let go of her past? Or will Lila's words pull her back? The mountain air is crisp, but the future's uncertain. This isn't the end. Keep watching to see what Mara builds. The Smoky Mountain breeze carries the scent of pine as Mara Kendrick stands on her reclaimed Asheville land. The deed to her family's plot now hers again after exposing her sister Evelyn's betrayal in a Charlotte courtroom. The sold sign is gone, but the ghosts of her childhood, Evelyn's spotlight, her parents' dismissal, linger in the soil. Mara's not here to rebuild that old house, where her math medals gathered dust while Evelyn's awards shone. She's dreaming bigger. A sanctuary for veterans like her, scarred by war and betrayal, a place to breathe without judgment. Picture her sketching plans for cabins under the mountain's shadow, her hands steady despite the weight of Jasper's pebble in her pocket. What's she building? Stay with us. This is where pain turns to purpose. Mara's past was a lesson in being unseen. In Asheville, Evelyn's every step, her violin recitals, her college letters, was a family triumph. Mara's victories? A shrug and a chore. You're the supporter, Mara, her mother said, as if her dreams didn't matter. The Seals gave her a new family, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, who saw her strength. But Evelyn's treachery, stealing military supplies and forging Mara's signature to sell their home, nearly broke her. The courtroom was Mara's counterstrike, her evidence. IP logs, forged manifests, toppling Evelyn's lies. Now, with the land back, Mara's not rebuilding for herself. She's creating Haven's Rest, a refuge for those carrying invisible wounds. The vision takes shape. Simple timber cabins with wide porches, windows framing the Smoky Mountains' rolling peaks. No rigid therapy, no clinical stairs, just coffee brewing, armchairs by a stone fireplace, and silence that heals. Mara works the land herself, her hands calloused from planting gardens and stacking firewood. One dawn, she nails a wooden sign above the main cabin. Haven's Rest. You are seen. It's for veterans like her, who've been called broken or crazy. She thinks of Jasper, who died because of Evelyn's diverted supplies, and vows this place will honor him. A retired Marine, Caleb Dunn, arrives first, his eyes hollow from Iraq. He sits quietly sipping coffee, and Mara knows. This is home for him, too. But shadows creep in. A letter from Lila, Evelyn's wife, arrives, dripping with excuses. Evelyn misled me, Mara. For the kids, forgive her. The words are a jab, testing Mara's resolve. She tosses the letter into the fire, its ashes mixing with the mountain air. Haven's Rest isn't just a place, it's her defiance, her proof that betrayal doesn't define her. Yet, as the cabins rise, so does a question. Can Mara's sanctuary heal her own scars, or will Lila's pleas and Evelyn's ghost pull her back? The mountains stand silent, but the answer's coming. This is more than a place, it's a mission. Keep watching to see how it grows. The Smoky Mountains cradle Haven's Rest, Mara Kendrick's sanctuary of timber cabins, where the scent of fresh coffee and pine mingles with the quiet hope of healing veterans. The Charlotte courtroom, where Mara exposed her sister Evelyn's betrayal, stealing military supplies and forging her signature to sell their family home. Feels like a lifetime ago. Evelyn's in cuffs, her lies unraveled by Mara's evidence, but the scars of being branded broken linger. Now, in a small soundproofed room at Haven's Rest, Mara sits before a microphone, launching The Beacon, a podcast to amplify the voices of those dismissed as crazy or damaged. Picture her, voice steady, speaking to the unseen, her words a lifeline across the airwaves. What's she saying? Stay with us. This is where her fight becomes a movement. Mara's Asheville childhood taught her silence. Evelyn's triumphs, pageant crowns, framed diplomas, were the family's son. Mara's math Olympiad wins were shrugged off. Support your sister, her parents said, leaving Mara invisible. The Seals gave her a family, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, who saw her strength but Evelyn's fraud, diverting supplies that cost Jasper's life, turned Mara's trust to ash. The courtroom was her stand, her satchel of evidence. IP logs, forged manifests, toppling Evelyn's empire. Haven's Rest, built on their reclaimed family land, is Mara's answer to that pain. A haven where veterans can shed their armor. But the Beacon is her voice, her way to fight for others. Her first broadcast is raw, unscripted. If you've been told your pain's not real, that your grief's too much, I see you, she says, her voice low, like a friend sharing a secret. You're not alone. She talks of Jasper's death, the ambush, Evelyn's betrayal, how her ritual for fallen comrades was twisted into madness. The response is a flood. Emails from Vietnam vets, Iraq survivors, women silenced by doubt. A retired sergeant writes, "You made me feel heard after 40 years." Mara reads each one, her heart swelling. Haven's Rest isn't just cabins. It's a community, a place where scars are maps, not burdens. But Lila's letter, pleading for family, and Evelyn's forgiveness, tests Mara's peace. She burns it, choosing her new mission over old wounds. The Beacon grows. Each episode a story of resilience, a call for listeners to share their own. A young vet, silent for days at Haven's Rest, points to a plaque above the cabin door. "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow, I fear no evil." He whispers, "I'm finding my way out, Captain." Mara smiles, her own shadows lifting. Evelyn tried to erase her, but Mara's voice is louder now, reaching thousands. Yet as the podcast grows, a new challenge looms. Can Mara keep this sanctuary safe from those who'd exploit it, like Evelyn once did? The mountains hold their breath. This is bigger than one woman. Keep watching to see what's next. The sun rises over Haven's Rest, painting the Smoky Mountains in soft pinks and golds. Mara Kendrick sits on a cabin porch, a mug of tea warming her hands, the air crisp with pine and promise. The courtroom, Evelyn's betrayal, the forged reports, their shadows now, fading in the light of what Mara's built. Haven's Rest isn't just a place, it's a testament to her resilience, a home for veterans to heal without judgment. The Beacon podcast carries her voice, and theirs across the world, proving pain can birth purpose. Mara's childhood, overshadowed by Evelyn's shine, taught her to fight for her own light. Her Seal brothers, Jasper, Riley, Marcus, gave her strength, their loss gave her mission. Evelyn's lies, meant to break her, only forged a warrior who listens, who sees. Mara looks at the plaque above the cabin door. "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow, I fear no evil." She's walked that valley and found the other side. Her scars are a map, guiding others to hope. If her story stirs you, know your pain matters. You're not alone. Share your story below. Someone needs to hear it. Like, comment, and subscribe to join the Beacon's community. Let's keep these voices alive.